Darwin Nunez is Darwin Nunez, and not to go into hot take mode this early, but I would sell him right now because if we're thinking long term, we need a killer as a number 9. We need someone close to an Erling Haaland as we could, and it's not Darwin Nunez. Like as Kazi keeps saying, it's not like he's 21 or 20, right? He's young, but then I don't know, Tim.
Oh, no, not that I'm very optimistic. I hear you. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate. But here's my thing, I guess. Like, who's going to buy him? A flag? I mean, like, who's going to pay? You're selling at the lowest. It doesn't sound like Edwards like.
I feel like it's just that we got to take the loss, man. Because if we're thinking long term, which I'm sure we are, knowing Edwards, it's to get that league title again. It's to get that Champions League again. And to get that, we need a killer. Like, we had 2 killers in Mane and Salah when we won everything. Right now, we have Salah who's declining, and no one else.
Right? It could be we need, and I've been saying this for a while, and it might be Gakpo if he accepts the role, because the last couple of games were good, but like it could be that we're just missing the Bobby. We're missing somebody who's like fine with the pass. You know, I don't feel like how many times this season do we see so frustratingly that we had the odd man rush and there was no passes. Yeah. The person that carried it from the halfway line shot the ball so many times. It was so frustrating. All these were all it takes is one pass to the left, one pass to the right, and it's an open goal. And we didn't do it because all those guys up there want the goal. And we just need somebody who'd rather the pass. And maybe if we found that person, then we'd get the production that we're looking for from other people.
I guess it depends on how he's going to play too, though, right? I mean, you're talking about like a number 9. I mean, maybe he doesn't want a number 9 that's a traditional number 9. Maybe he does want a Bobby like number 9, or maybe like, you know, he does want a Nunez like guy, or Gakpo. I mean, Gakpo's a big dude. Like, he doesn't look like he's a tall ass dude. So I feel like, you know, you're right, Gordo. I think he's probably the one that fits the most. But so it just says like Nunez reminds me of Heskey, a confidence player. I guess, you know, I would buy into that theory, but man, we were watching a video last night with Angel about like, you know, it was like Klopp's biggest comebacks. And one of them was like the Newcastle game. You would think, and I think we all thought, John, that after that Newcastle game, like the dam broke, like he was just going to be like getting a hat trick every freaking game and stuff. And he was getting hat trick of offside every freaking game instead.
How many times have we had this false dawn with Darwin?
Yeah,
it's just unfortunate. Like
I like filling in for Kazi over here. Jeez.
Right, like again, and as Kazi loves to say, I would love Darwin to freaking succeed. I would love him to be our next Torres, man. But then, listen, obviously, it's very disingenuous to point the finger at Darwin solely, because let's face it, Diaz, Salah missed a ton of chances as well. Yeah. But then, you're a number 9. You should be burying these. It's not like he was brought in to be a Bobby. No, because Bobby's role was to supply Salah and Mane, who will finish majority of the chances that Darwin has missed. Right? Again,
but the chaos.
Well, here's the thing. At the end of the season, we all this Wild Wednesday group would always say he's better coming off the bench because of the chaos that he brings. And at the end of the season, he stopped even bringing that.
Yeah, exactly.
The game would deflate and go against us when we'd bring him on.
I put that on Klopp, though. I think we said it back then that Gakpo should have started in the 11 and he should have been in that role. I think once we took him from that role and made him a starter and then demoted him back to that role, I think it kind of messed with his head. And going back to, I think like Sir Z was saying, he is, you know, going through a lot of like the mental part of his game is not as strong yet. And that's probably with the age and all that kind of stuff. I feel like, John, we kind of took that away from him. And now he was like, I'm an afterthought, and he didn't do the same thing. Whereas in the beginning, I think maybe he embraced that role a little bit and be like, here I come, ready or not, kind of a thing. And then he would come in and cause the chaos.
Yeah, the coaching thing, I feel like, is a double-edged sword. Like, would you stick with your guy who's misfiring, missing shot after shot? Like, I understand.
So why did you put him in?
Because you thought he would start burying those chances, but he hasn't.
But what made you think he was going to bury those chances? I guess that's my thing. Like, what did we see that we said,
right,
because he's going to be really finishing?
Because he's getting into those positions.
Yes.
The problem is he's getting there, but the problem is he's still not finishing.
Yeah.
And you can only take so much games where he's not finishing, right? That's the problem. It'll come back eventually, which is why I understand, like, these last few games, Gakpo hasn't necessarily lit the world on fire, but then he's finishing most of the chances that he's getting in front of goal compared to, like, Nunez, who, when he gets in those positions, you know that it's straight at the goalie. You just do. That last game against Wolves, you knew it was straight at the goalie. You knew.
Well,
and I think, like, sorry, Gordo, but I think, like, that's the thing with Gakpo. Even if he's not finishing, I feel like Gakpo is creating a lot more for others at the same time and moves the ball around. And Gakpo maybe doesn't feel that pressure, like, I'm here to score. Whereas it feels like Nunez feels that pressure, like, I got to do something, I got to score. Whereas Gakpo is very content for being that Bobby role you were talking about, Gordo.
Yeah, that's 100%. I really do think, like, you could tell, like John said, one-on-ones right at the keeper always, because he's thinking about it so much. And that comes with missing chances, and that comes with, being frustrated and not, living up to what you feel that you can do, because he's probably burying everything in training. He's probably going into training. He's got a lot of confidence, no pressure. Nobody's watching him. He's probably putting everything that he touches away. He's probably staying on side because Pep Linders isn't raising the flag. He's probably his offsides. That's probably the problem, right? But no, I like that. The Newcastle game was where I'd lost faith in him, because last year I gave him the benefit of the doubt. First year didn't talk, or like he couldn't talk the language. The whole team wasn't really performing, and then this year it's like I just couldn't. I was so baffled that, like, we kept, like, everyone, not just at American Scouts, everyone was always like, he's a confidence player, and then he'd get like the 2 goals like at Newcastle, and it's like there's nothing after that, and then he'd get another goal, like a big goal, and nothing after that. And it's like, okay, if you look at it objectively, because I know, like, sometimes too, like, as fans, like, we really wanted him to succeed, and some people, like, threw everything in him and, like, said all this stuff about him, and it's like, all right, well, I can't go back on it because now I'm, like, invested in it. Like, I've said too much about him, and I really need him to, because now, we attach ourselves to teams and players, and, like, his failure is my failure type thing.
We can do this, Darwin.
Right, exactly. You make me look like an idiot.
That's how I feel with Gravenberch. When Gordo said that, I was like, this is me with Gravenberch.
Or I think, what the biggest thing is, like, it's not just fandom. I think because when you try to be objective and call it out, now you're slating our players and stuff like that. No, like, I'm just looking at what everybody else will be looking at. I can look at it objectively despite being a fan.
Right, and I also don't want him taking a spot of somebody that maybe doesn't get as many chances, but puts the chances he gets away.
Yeah.
So, like, I think I'd much rather have someone that, scores 6 goals a season, but gets into 8 chances, right? Than someone that gets into 46 chances and has 11 goals.